Kalala Malak Yahweh Wa Yahushai Bahashem Rahak Wadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel. Blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel Barakatah. Today's lesson, the many bases. And there are many secret bases all around the world, even at the bottom of the sea. That's why a 10-year-old boy in his testimony drew an exact drawing of an actual base in 1979 near a massive white pyramid. Now, when it comes to the scriptures, they give true testimony that those secret underground and underwater facilities exist, as in the case of Amos 9:2 and verse 3. And when it comes to that number one source, that number one biblical source, it reveals everything. Nothing shall be hid. Amos 9:2, though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Right. Though they dig into hell, meaning into their deep underground military bases, or what many call DUMBs, D-U-M-B-S. Then shall my hand take them. And once the smoke clears, then shall the Lord Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, utilize his chosen elect men in power to take them captives. That's pursuant to Psalms 149, verse 8 and 9. The true nation of Israel, which consists of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, served under their enemies in the one of all things. And in the perfect balance of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai, those enemies shall serve the true nation of Israel as servants and as handmaids. So the tables shall be turned in the Lord's perfect balance. The Lord is about a perfect balance, according to the scripture of Proverbs 11 and 1. And when it goes on to say, though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down, meaning that they shall even be brought down from among their space station. They do have an international space station. Amos 9:3, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence, and though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And that word bite, according to its etymology online, means to pierce or cut with the teeth. That is exactly what the Leviathan shall do. Once again, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence, and though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. Right. Meaning that the Lord shall command or give orders to the enormous Leviathan of the moist to bite them at the bottom of the sea, wherever it is that they shall hide. So, in other words, there will be no place to run and no place to hide from the eyes and judgment of the Lord Yahweh Wa Yahushai. And the eyes of the Lord are the angels. They are everywhere. Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, just like the song of Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, meaning that every angle has been covered by the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. And during the course of World War III, when World War III begins, the banking elites around the world shall hide themselves in their strongholds, bunkers, and other underground facilities. And this will be in fulfillment of these two scriptures of Amos 9:2 and 3. And when it comes to the scripture of Zechariah 9 and 12, it also speaks about their places of stronghold. Let's go over to that scripture. Zechariah 9 and 12. Turn you to the stronghold, ye prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render double unto thee. And this is in reference to the elites of Esau, Edom, in these stronghold fortresses of refuge. Now, when it comes to those places of refuge upon Babylon the Great, which speaks of America, they shall only be temporary, because the scripture of Jeremiah 51 and verse 29 has said that it shall become desolate and without inhabitants. And this is one of the reasons why they shall hide themselves in those other strongholds, in those outside strongholds of the other nations, because they know of the fiery judgment that's to come upon modern day Babylon the Great. So those stronghold fortresses of refuge upon modern day Babylon the Great shall only serve as temporary means. It shall be leveled by those fiery destructive arrows of the nations from coast to coast. And this is the inevitable judgment of Babylon the Great. So you see, there are many underground facilities on land as well as in the seas. And when they shall hide themselves at the bottom of the sea, thence will the Lord command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And you have testimony from a 10-year-old boy that they exist. But also the scriptures tell you their number one source. Remember that the Lord is the one that sealeth those instructions to fulfill his will, according to the scripture of Job 33, 15 and 16. The Lord shall even put orders upon the Leviathan of the moist to do what? To bite them. With that being said, let's go over to 2 Esdras 6 and 52. Second Esdras 6 and 52. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the seventh part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and when. As soon as the Leviathan surfaces, expect him to receive instructions of the Lord, Yahweh Wayoshai, to start jacking up aircraft carriers, battleships, destroyers, and all submarines that dwell in his domain. Remember that the scripture of Psalms 104 and verse 26 has said, there go the ships. There is that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein. And we all know that the Leviathan loves to play with ships. And do not be surprised if the Leviathan also takes out these deadly ships out at sea that are carrying these deadly weapons of mass destruction wherever they may be hiding. This reminds me of that movie, The Hunt for Red October, when American intelligence tracks the Red October as it leaves its Soviet shipyard. But then the sub seems to disappear, and soon after, the entire Soviet Navy mobilizes itself into a vast cat and mouse game in the North Atlantic. But remember, when it comes to that big cat in the ocean, expect that to be the Leviathan hunting for those ships and submarines out there in the ocean, since he likes to play with ships. With that being said, let's go over to the scripture of Psalms 104 and verse 26, which says the following. Psalms 104 and verse 26. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein. Right. The word Leviathan can be broken down into two words. Levi, Hebrew word loyah, and athan. And when you put it all together, it means joined unto the Most High. The Leviathan is the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's creation. And in due time, this fire breather with impenetrable skin will be let loose to appease the wrath of the Lord, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. That's why Amos 9 and 3 said, and though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. You see? But when it comes to the Leviathan, the Lord, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, gave him the moist of the seas to roam and dwell in. That's his domain. And if he sees any ships or any submarines, it's like the scripture has said, there go the ships, there's that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein. he shall play with them by destroying them. And the Lord will unleash many other creatures in his righteous anger, as it also says in the scripture of Jeremiah 15 and verse 3. You even have the behemoth of the land. So when it comes to the Lord, every angle is covered. But with that being said, Kal Olam Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha, Gudash, and double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel, blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah, Shalom.